I'd prefer to be as radically self-reliant as possible. So if I can find a way to secure and shelter myself without paying someone else, like a landlord, to do that for me, then I should do that.
A few weeks ago, I read an article about Ethan, a self-described extreme minimalist living on the streets of New York City. I wanted to learn more about his motivations to essentially be homeless, so I sought him out and spoke with him for a bit. How'd you wind up living out on the streets?
I was already into minimalism, and I decided that I should explore even further, like minimalism without even a room, without a house. And so I've done a lot of experimenting, and now I'm to the point where I just have a little bit of stuff here, my bike, basically, what I can carry on my bike. I've basically distilled my activism or my impact in a few key phrases, which are zero waste, zero noise, zero exhaust, and also zero litter sometimes.
Tell me a little bit about like a day in the life of Ethan. Do you have a typical day, and what would it be like?
There are some things that are consistent. I've been sleeping in the same spot, so I wake up and I usually don't feel that great when I wake up. I mean, it's not easy to get good sleep on the sidewalk, obviously. So I aim for getting good enough sleep. So I wake up and I'll kind of like peek my head up and look, see who's around me, see who might have been sleeping here last night, see if they left a mess that I need to clean up before the kids walk to school right next to me. So I'm trying to make sure that they don't have to see anything ridiculous on their walk to school. I don't always wake up in time to help out with that, but I try. What else? Sometimes I'll walk laps around the block collecting cigarette butts, and I ship those to be upcycled. This morning before you got here, I was working on repairing a bike cover that I got. I'm always, repairing as much gear as I can. So if I can build my own gear out of stuff I find in the trash, raw materials, wasted materials, then I don't have to buy new stuff that has packaging and carbon footprint and all this other stuff that goes along with it. I think that's kind of like part of the radical self-reliance.
So you've been in New York for about 8 years. Have you lived outside on the streets that entire time, or you had an apartment at one point?
I've pretty much lived outside the whole time. I stayed with girlfriends for a few months at a time, or friends. There'd been some brief periods where I lived inside, but I never really liked it very much. It just felt confining. I'm really concerned about having an impact on my community, and I think just hiding inside of an apartment isn't going to do that exactly. No matter how much I read and write online, it's not quite the same as being out here on the sidewalk, watching and being a part of everything that's happening.
I asked Ethan to tell me more about the impact he thought he was having within this community, and how he thought the community felt about him living on the sidewalk, since I had read articles describing him as a nuisance.
As far as my relationship with this community, or specifically the people on this block, I think the people that like me here, they understand the impact I'm having and the impact that I would like to have, and they're supporting me in whatever ways that they can or they think are appropriate. But then there's some other people who really don't understand. They can't even begin to imagine why I do this. And they seem to feel like it's some kind of personal attack for me to sleep on the public sidewalk intentionally. I suppose they have some concerns about their property value being reduced, or they have some vague concerns about crime rates increasing.
According to a recent article in the New York Post, some of the neighbors' concerns are what many would expect, saying the area is a homeless encampment, attracting a rough crowd, including one heroin addict. When I spoke with Ethan, it looked like there was only one other person sleeping on the sidewalk. But he told me there have been as many as 5 or 6 others at times. He also says that his presence helps manage the homeless on the block.
I'm doing a lot to make sure that the sidewalks are secure and in order and clean, and I'm teaching people how to behave well. I've got a lot of years of experience living on the sidewalk, and oftentimes the people that nobody else wants to deal with are the people that come to me because I don't have a wall and a door between me and them. So people think like I'm inviting these people here. Usually I'm much more bothered by the drug addicts and the people with mental illness than anyone else. But simultaneously, because I'm bothered, I have an incentive to find solutions and to solve problems. And so people mistake that as them being like my friends, and I am friendly with them because I don't think it's exactly ethical or productive to be hostile towards them. It's a public sidewalk. I have no right to tell them to go anywhere else. And they need somewhere to sleep. And of course, people invite them to sleep at the shelter, but they feel more comfortable here. Maybe partly because I'm here, creating security and guidance for people who need it. But I understand that the shelters are not always the best solution for everyone.
Over the years, I've heard from numerous homeless people that the shelters are dangerous and inadequate. I imagine that some of the danger might come from shelter residents with mental health issues or drug addictions. But there have also been numerous news reports detailing abuse and corruption within the system. I think the people who sleep near Ethan probably do show up because he's there, but not because of any security or guidance. I think it's more likely that his presence is an indicator that the police are not chasing the homeless off this particular block. Currently, Ethan and others are sleeping in front of an empty storefront, but it's set to open as a seafood restaurant later this year. Now, I'm sure you can understand how once the restaurant is open, folks aren't going to want you literally a foot away from the entrance.
Yeah, I understand that. And part of the reason I'm here is because there is no business here, because this is a vacant storefront. And oftentimes the police apply a lot more pressure if you're sleeping in front of an active storefront. So, once the restaurant is here, it will probably be a net positive for this neighborhood and this community. I think there's still a lot of fundamental issues with the business model they're planning to install here. I'm not exactly protesting the restaurant, but I don't think it's a good idea for people to buy seafood. Like, if you really care about the health of the oceans, then the best thing you can do is stop buying seafood, because most of the plastic in the ocean is fishing gear. They tell us a story like it's all like plastic forks and straws and plastic bags and plastic bottles, but mostly it's fishing gear. So yeah, when the restaurant's here, I'll probably go somewhere else, I guess. There's only so much pressure I'm able to take as one person. I have to go wherever I can have an overlap between some kind of lifestyle, security, and safety, and making a difference, I think, ought to be made in the world.
Ethan's talk of the environment and helping the community is commendable, but I wonder what kind of impact is he really having?
I feel like the best I can do is set a very good example and show people how to live, even if I don't always get an opportunity to speak about it directly to the people who need to hear it. This might be more of an opportunity than I've had.
He says he's trying to set a good example. His claims of a zero-waste, minimalist lifestyle sound good, but living on the street is not an example most people have an interest in following. I think, to the average passerby, he's just another homeless guy sleeping on the sidewalk. If you want to keep up with what I'm working on, hit the subscribe button, or head over to my website and sign up for my newsletter. If you have a story you want to share, message me through the contact form on my website.